great to see both small learning communities here at the high school coming together for events like these. We both have an interest in affecting change in government, and I think you'll see with the presentation today that this will help us in achieving that goal. So to get right to it, I'd like to introduce Montclair's own, Mr. Paul Fishman, who is the U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That was okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Much better. So, if this were like American Idol, Miss Lubitz definitely would have won. I don't know what that's about, but before we begin, I want to thank Dr. Alvarez, who is somewhere. Oh, there he is. And Principal Earl. I think that Shelley Lombard, the president of the board, is here somewhere, maybe. And other members of the board who are supposed to be here. As you heard, my name is Paul Fishman, and I'm the United States Attorney here in New Jersey. And what that means is I'm the Chief Federal Prosecutor for the Federal Department of Justice here in New Jersey. There are about 145 lawyers who work in my office in Newark and Trenton and Camden. And together we represent the United States, not the state of New Jersey, but the United States, in all federal criminal investigations and prosecutions here in New Jersey. Those crimes include bribery, terrorism, organized crime, bank fraud, securities fraud, healthcare fraud, large-scale narcotics dealing, violent crime by gangs and others. And most important for what we're going to talk about today, hate crimes and crimes like human trafficking, the kind of conduct that goes to the core of protecting everybody's civil rights. We also represent the United States in court in civil litigation, when the United States government gets sued here in New Jersey, or when we sue people or organizations because they haven't complied with federal law. My boss is Eric Holder, the Attorney General of the United States, and of course his boss is the President, and so indirectly I work for the President of the United States, which I have to say is so why am I here today? Why are we here today? Over here, seated in the front row in that incredibly handsome purple shirt, is Tom Perez, who also works for Attorney General Holder and for the President, although he works in Washington, where he is the Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division. And I'll have more to say about that in a minute. But in a nutshell, he's the point person for the United States Department of Justice on all civil rights issues. He is in charge of coordinating and directing all of the work of the federal government in enforcing civil rights across the entire country. And as part of that job, he likes to travel around the country and meet with lots of people, who are in law enforcement like me, although I've known Tom for a long time, but also people like you, so he can have a conversation about things that are important. Bless you. Things that are important to you as students, to people in Montclair, people in New Jersey and around the country, in the realm of civil rights. And when we talked about his coming to New Jersey, and we'll talk about why he's here aside from this in a little bit, I lobbied hard for him to come to Montclair High School. Why Montclair High School? Well, first, it's particularly exciting for me to have arranged this important conversation here in Montclair, where I live with my wife and my 2 kids, who we are raising and who attend Bradford School. And truly it meant to me that if we did it in Montclair, I wouldn't have to be the guy that had to pick him up at the train station in Newark at 8:30, and I could just drive here myself and get here just right on time. So I like to do that. More important, there are 2 other reasons why I thought that...
Say the first question you asked was, I guess, American prisons. Oh yeah, the criminal
American
justice system.
system
The Attorney General has spoken a lot
treatment
about
of terrorists.
the criminal justice system.
Montclair High School.
And he has said, and I heartily agree, that we can't incarcerate our way out of these challenges. And I mentioned the crack powder issue is a remarkable and regrettable example of people with a substance abuse problem that are incarcerated for long periods of time, and the racial dimension of that. And that's why under his leadership there's actually been an access to justice group that has been put together to ensure that we are smart on crime. That's what I really believe. Sometimes you got to lock them up and throw away the key and throw the book at people because they deserve it. And other times you got to treat people differently. If the only tool in your arsenal is a hammer, then eventually everything starts looking like a nail. And that is why we got to have a criminal justice system that gets smart on crime. We need to, at the same time, protect our borders and protect our nation. And it's been a very challenging stretch. You all live and probably know of folks who were directly affected here in the area by 9/11. And so we continue to be at war on many fronts. And so it makes the president's job that much more challenging. And he is, I think, doing a remarkable job of fighting that war while at the same time respecting the Constitution. And I'm confident he'll continue to do that. We have time for, I think,
talk about how laws that you've instituted are for the good of the people that help civil rights, LGBT. But for instance, like in Texas, when you had your prosecution against the hate crimes, does your office do anything else in terms of the afterwards? Because I'm sure there's still those existing beliefs, the hatred, the prejudices that still occur, and just having a lawsuit doesn't just wipe that slate. So does your office work to try and, I guess, dissolve those beliefs?
Sure. I mean, and I absolutely agree with you that you can't prosecute your way out of these challenges, whether it's bullying, whether it's hate crimes, etc. And so we do a lot of work, not just in the Civil Rights Division, but with U.S. attorneys. We have an entire branch in the Department of Justice called the Office of Justice Programs that gives out a lot of grants in these areas of prevention and education. We work jointly with the Department of Education on a number of programs that are designed to get at young people, for instance. We partner with places like the Anti-Defamation League, the Arab American Institute, other places to talk about the NAACP, partnerships for prevention. And so,
two things that I think should give you a little bit of perspective, maybe a little bit of hope here. One is, as you may have heard, Congress passed the Defense of Marriage Act some number of years ago, and the Attorney General and the President decided that the defense of that act, which would in fact contribute to some of the things that you're worried about, is not going to be done by the Department of Justice in this administration. There's been controversy about that, but that was a principled stand taken by the President and the Attorney General. And just last week, I think maybe you heard about this, here in New Jersey, there's an issue about whether two men who are living together and are married in another state, one of them is from another country, and if they were a man and a woman and they were married, and one of them was married to an American citizen, he wouldn't get deported. But the immigration officials, because that marriage is not recognized in New Jersey, were going to deport him. And the Attorney General, for whom Tom and I work, stepped in to halt that deportation proceeding for another look.